This is a demo on how to use the intermediate tip lines from Rio. There's a 15-foot intermediate tip, Flats Pro, and a 6-foot intermediate tip, Flats Pro. I think they're really important lines on the Australian flats because they get the flies down and they keep them down in our currents. Okay, a lot of the Central American flats don't have a lot of current on them at all, but we do. The 15-foot intermediate tip is also a brilliant Barra line and also a very good line for casting to schools of breaking pelagics. But the problem a lot of people have with it is picking it up off the water to represent. I'm going to show you a couple of techniques. I'm going to show you how not to do it first, and then I'm going to show you a couple of techniques for picking the 15-foot intermediate tip in particular up off the water. Now on this rod, I've got a relatively light crab fly on the end, but I've also got a 12-foot leader on the front of the 15-foot intermediate tip. I've got the Rio saltwater tapered leader with a 20-pound tapering down to 20-pound point, and then I've got 16-pound tippet on the front of that. So this is the first thing I'm going to demonstrate is how to not do it. Okay, lay this line out there, put a bit of line out. I'm going to let it sink. A little bit of swell coming in over the sandbar. Okay, I'll lay that out. So how you don't do it is lift to the side, because that doesn't get a lot of line off the water. The key to this, and I'm just going to straighten this out again. I'm going to lift it to the surface with a roll cast. I'm going to pick up and lay down, and then I'm going to let it sink. Now the key to picking up this intermediate tip, we'll just let it sink, okay, is to lift straight up, as much line as you can off the water. Now I'm not sure how much I'm picking up there, including the tip, but I reckon there's 50, 60 feet of line there. Okay, so let it sink. Get everything tight, that's important. Get everything tight. Lift, 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 back cast, and shoot. Okay, now, so you don't lift to the side. You've got to get the line clear of the water. Now, the other thing to do, particularly if you have a heavier fly on, is to do a roll cast first. So here's a roll cast. Okay, that didn't get the fly to the surface. I'm going to do a second roll cast. Fly is up, do my pickup and shoot. Okay, so utilize the roll cast with this sink tip line and heavy flies in particular. The other thing, if you're barra fishing, you've stripped the fly halfway back to the boat, you generally don't get your bites in the second half of your strip. Go back into a roll cast, do a roll cast pickup, shoot it back into the snag. Okay, so I'm going to shorten this up again. I'm going to do a roll cast just to get it to the surface. I'm going to do another one, make sure it's up, straighten it out, pick up and shoot. And that's how you use the 15-foot intermediate tip. If I have the junction between the intermediate and then the floating section here, this junction at the tip of the rod, that's it there. I know exactly how much I've got out there. Okay. Now this bit of fat floating line here is 6 feet long. So I can vary having that in and out the rod depending on the conditions. And then the back, we change color again. This section of sort of apricot colored line is, or peach color I think they call it, is 18 feet long. So it's a pretty long head, it's a pretty long setup. Quickly do the math, what have we got, 36, 6, 44 and 18. We're way up there, 52 feet, no, 62 feet of line ready to go. Okay, out the rod tip. Easy to cast, all that mass. Minimal false casting, which is what we're looking for. What you really need to know is your pickup point. Where it is possible for you with your skills to pick this up. There's no good trying to pick up 54 feet of line with a 10-foot leader and a heavy crab fly in the end, you're going to have to strip it a little bit. Okay, you're going to have to strip it a little bit, and you need to know in relation to these colour changes will tell you when you've reached your pickup point where you can comfortably lift that line off the water and represent the fly. And it should leave enough line out there. If you do it properly, it should leave enough line out there for you to make at the most 2 back casts and quickly represent. If you do it well, you should be able to do it with 1 back cast, fly back straight back out there, because the windows are brief.